Here at Christian Rewire channel, we are delighted to have you here. Uncertainty and numerous questions surround Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but the most persistent concerns the major patriarch of the Israelite people and other Arab nations, Abraham. Could Abraham possibly have been Hebrew since he was neither Israelite nor Jewish? The truth is that Hebrew is merely a designation for people who came from Mesopotamia and crossed the Great River. The major subject that this film will explore is the question of Abraham's genuine origin, specifically from what region, country, people, or city he actually came. Abraham was the main patriarch of the Abrahamic peoples, including the Israelites, a people descended from Isaac, and the Ishmaelites, a people descended from Ishmael, who were the progenitors of 12 Arab tribes. Beyond the Israelites and Ishmaelites, Abraham was also the ancestor of the Edomite tribes, who were further removed from the Oradians. Although it is seldom mentioned, Abraham was actually the ancestor of the Midianites through his son Midian. Abraham had a total of 8 children: Ishmael, who was born to an Egyptian mother, Isaac, who inherited all of Abraham's possessions, and Kurah, whose name means promise in Aramaic. Kurah, who may have been of Hebrew or Aramaic descent, is a significant figure in Abraham's life, and we delve into her story in a video on our channel featuring Kurah. Midian was one of Abraham's 6 more offspring by Ishmael. Abraham had around 13 great-grandchildren, born in the following order: Abdulkader, Msam, and Hashmaduma was Hadad Masa. Another interesting feature of Abraham's genealogy is that, through the lineage of Isaac, the promised son, Abraham became the grandpa of 2 grandsons, Esau and Jacob, who were twins, much like Ishmael, thanks to Tema Jernish, Kadima, and Malat, also called Bas Math. Abraham had 13 great-grandchildren through Jacob, who was Isaac's son and Abraham's grandson. Among these great-grandchildren were Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Dan, and Levi. Gad Napal Joshua Zebulun, son of Asher Dinah, is the only one of Jacob's daughters named in the Bible, along with Joseph and Benjamin. In turn, Esau had offspring named Almast, Jalam, and Reuel Shush Korah. Additionally, Abraham's son June bestowed the names of Sheba, Danan, Ephah, Eper, Abida, Elda, and Hanch upon him as grandchildren. These individuals, along with Abraham's great-grandchildren, formed tribes that settled in the Levant region, which today includes Jordan, Syria, and parts of Iraq. Areas include Palestine, Israel, and Lebanon. Recently, many people have questioned the origin of Abraham due to a lack of knowledge. Some still refer to him as the Hebrew or the Jew. However, it is important to clarify that Abraham was neither Jewish nor Hebrew. He was called a Hebrew because of his journey across the Great River, and coming from the Mesopotamian region. The term Hebrew literally means to cross or pass, referring to the crossing of the Great Tigris and Euphrates rivers in Mesopotamia during Abraham's passage through the land of Egypt. We know that the Egyptians of that time identified him as a Hyos. The term Hyksos refers to inhabitants of Egypt who are not native Egyptians, coming from lands where there are shepherds and peoples. From the East Semites, originally of Greek origin. In ancient Egyptian, it was expressed as Het, meaning shepherd kings, foreign sovereigns, or simply foreign sovereigns. The category of Hyos encompassed various peoples from the Levant and naturally from Mesopotamia, including Arameans, Akkadians, Assyrians, among other groups, as narrated in the chapters of the book of Genesis. Abraham and his father Terah left Ur of the Chaldeans, located in southern Iraq, initially heading towards the land of Canaan. However, they ended up settling in the land of Padanaram, situated in Syria, before continuing on to Egypt. The Egyptians likely knew Abraham as a Hyksos, considering him a representative of the peoples of the Middle East who migrated to Egypt, such as the Aramean and other groups within this broader term of Hyos. Specifically, Abraham could have been identified as belonging to the subgroup of Hyksos known as Shu. Some contend that in Ur of the Chaldees, Abraham may have been referred to as Shudu by the Akkadians, a name used to denote other Semitic peoples like the Arabim, as the Shu were a group of tribesmen hailing from the Middle East, perhaps from the Iraqi region. It has been suggested by certain scholars that Abraham may have been called Habu or Eru in Egypt and Canaan. The Habu are said to have been a people who appear in a number of ancient documents, most notably those from Mesopotamia and Egypt. The The term Habu, which can mean either a people or a class of people, does not necessarily denote a particular ethnic group, but rather an umbrella term for individuals who did not fit neatly into established social norms. This could include migrants or marginalized communities. It is worth mentioning that the term Habu does not refer to a singular, homogeneous ethnic or cultural group, but rather to a diverse and ever-changing social category. Inscriptions from the 2nd millennium BCE mention the Habu in a variety of contexts, where they are portrayed as social outcasts who engage in activities like manual labor, mercenary labor, or even rebellion and banditry. There is ongoing debate among scholars regarding the possible involvement of the Habu in biblical events and population movements. The term Habu is vague and lacks clear evidence, making it difficult to determine their specific identity. Scholars continue to debate the meaning of the term, and the evidence we have provides only partial glimpses into their presence and role in ancient Middle Eastern societies. According to some, the Habu may have played a significant role in migrations and conflicts in the late 2nd millennium BCE. Many different cultures, including the Sumerians, the Egyptians, and the Akkadians, utilized this name. Some groups of people are referred to as Hittites, Ugarit, or Canaanites. Nevertheless, there is a significant difference between Habu and Hebrew, and Heb is not one of them. One who came from Mesopotamia and crossed the river is mentioned in Hebrew. One possible interpretation of Habu is bandit slave. Archer mercenary or immigrant worker. The term Habu or Eru was initially discovered in its Akkadian version and later in Ugaritic texts in Egyptian writing. The correspondence appears to be conventionally pronounced as Eru, with the hu being the Egyptian plural suffix. According to established sound changes in Northwest Sittic, the root of this term is associated with the word meaning dust or dirt. Thus Habu could have the meaning of dirty or dusty, being one of the terms used to describe nomadic peoples. Although it could also mean nomad, it is more appropriate to state that in Egypt Abraham was known as a Hyas, specifically of the Shu, while in his homeland Mesopotamia, possibly by the Akkadians, he was known as Shudu from the Chaldean people. Abraham was Chaldean, and the answer to all these questions is that Abraham was indeed a Hebrew. However, it is crucial to clarify that Abraham was not Jewish. The designation of Abraham as a Hebrew has roots in the understanding of the Canaanites, who recognized that he crossed the great river coming from Mesopotamia. In Genesis 14, a man of Canaanite origin calls Abraham the Hebrew. It is interesting to note that the term Hebrew also appears later in the book of Exodus, where it is used by the Egyptians or by later copyists using the Phoenician script. Some scholars suggest that in this context Hebrew may have been employed unfavorably to refer to the Hebrews as slaves, as the word has origins in Habu or Paparu, which includes the meaning of slave. Mercenary and immigrant worker for the Canaanites. Therefore, from the Canaanite point of view, Abraham is a Hebrew because he went over the river into Canaan. From the Egyptian point of view, though, he was a Hyas and a member of the Chaldean people. It's interesting to note that the Chaldean are Semitics, descended from the Arad-Shad lineage. During Abraham's time in Aram, he probably picked up the Aramaic language. His grandson Jacob is called an Aramine because his mother Rebecca is of Aramaic descent. To everyone who has watched the film thus far, thank you from the bottom of my heart. May you all rest in peace, and I will see you again soon.